Blissful Conversations with Dr. Jaipal Singh. Hi sir, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Devika.
Right. So today we'll be talking about mind. So what is mind transformation?
Devika, that's a very good and a very important question. But before we discuss what is mind transformation
Right.
or mind management, it's essential that we understand why we need to manage the mind.
Okay.
So you see, actually, these days you must have come across people doing time management,
Yes.
business management,
Yes.
work management,
Right.
household management.
Yes.
But we don't, understand or know how to manage our own selves.
True.
And in fact, our entire perception of the world and how we behave, how we react depends upon our own selves.
Yes.
And how our mind works not only impacts our body and health, as we've already discussed, and which is validated by numerous studies
Right.
and research, medical research, but it also impacts our outer world. So it's one of the most fundamental and important things in life.
Right.
And also, the mind, I think, is the most fascinating, the most intriguing, the most mysterious, and the most paradoxical entity, if it can be called that.
Yes. Right.
I say paradoxical because it can be either your best friend or your worst enemy. And that is why there's a saying that mind can either make you or mar you. Even the Upanishads say the same thing. Man evo karanam bandho mokshe. Mind causes all kinds of restrictions and bondages, and only the mind can lead you towards liberation.
Okay.
So, in order to have a healthy, peaceful, happy life, we need to manage our minds, we need to
Right.
transform and cultivate certain habits within us, which will lead us towards peace and happiness.
Okay. But what is mind?
Yes, that's, you see, by definition, mind is a element of a person which makes them aware of their world, their experiences,
Right.
makes them think, makes them reason, and act or react in a certain fashion.
Okay.
But this is a very simplistic version of the mind.
Yes.
Mind is far more complex. And in fact, the Eastern approach to the mind and the Western approach to the mind are very different.
Okay.
But if we talk about mind per se, it's a very vast topic. But I'll tell you the basic fundamentals. The human mind has been equated to a wild monkey. You'll be surprised. As the monkey jumps from one branch
To
to another, the human mind flits from one thought to another.
Yes.
In fact, it has been proposed that approximately 60,000 thoughts per day,
60,000 thoughts.
yes, 60,000 thoughts per day generally pass through a person's mind. It will be full of, mostly negative patterns. So it is this incessant chatter of the mind which is just below our everyday awareness, which causes the majority of human suffering.
How to recognize the chattering of the mind?
Devika, if we sit by ourselves,
Right.
if we take out 5, 10, 15 minutes from our daily hectic lives and sit by ourselves and just observe what is going on in our minds,
Right.
we will come to know the continuous passing of thoughts, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. But unfortunately, we don't have time for ourselves. The entire endeavor we spend, meeting other people, looking at situations outside the world. We get introduced to new people, we make new friends, but we've never actually been introduced to our own selves.
Right.
So the most important thing is we need to take out time, sit by ourselves and observe the patterns, how they shift and how the thoughts keep on coming one after the other. In fact, have we ever sat down and asked ourselves this simple question, why do we think like we do?
Right.
Why do we behave in the fashion we do? Why do we act or react?
The way we do,
why
yes.
do we do that?
Yes.
It all depends upon, if we sit down by ourselves, we realize that it all depends upon a belief system. All of us have unconsciously made up a belief system. And it is this belief system which makes us reason, think like a particular person, and then react in that particular fashion.
Right.
And you see, this is called the ABC system. The A is the activating event, the B is a belief system which you have,
Yes.
and C is the consequent reaction.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. You see, there's a type A personality which we call, ambitious people, always hurrying
Yes.
from one project to the
Impatient.
other, impatient, not having too much of patience at all. Let us say that one such person is supposed to go for an interview. Now he gets or she gets caught up in a traffic jam, and which is not their
Fault.
responsibility, and it's not dependent upon them. So how this person is going to react in that 5-10 minutes? He'll keep on looking at his watch,
Watch, yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
And by the time he reaches for his interview or for his meeting, he will not be in a state to conduct it properly,
Right.
isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So the activating event is the traffic jam. The belief system is that he's getting late. It's very important. He has to hurry. The consequent reaction is going to be that it's going to be a chaotic interview. On the other hand, there is a person who has a belief system that the outer situation is not in his control. He's got caught up in a traffic jam. So probably, let me take out these 5-10 minutes, listen to some music, relax, just involve himself in a pleasant activity.
Yes, yes.
So by the time that person reaches for an interview or a meeting, he'll be in a calm and composed
yes.
state of mind.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
obviously the outcome is going to be better.
Positive.
Positive.
Mhm.
So it's our belief systems which actually make us think, reason and react in a particular fashion. And that is how our mind gets programmed,
Okay.
because of our belief systems.
Okay. So the belief system plays a very important role.
Absolutely.
And what's the next step we can take?
Well, the next step is, once we realize that our belief system, which we have created unconsciously most of, is causing us harm, is causing us suffering.
Suffering, yes.
Then we need to deal with it. But we don't have to fight with our mind, because mind is not something which you can see. And fighting with an unseen enemy, is like you can't beat them,
Yes, yes.
that enemy.
Yes.
So you have to transform your mind with a lot of patience, with a lot of calmness, with a lot of love and understanding,
Right.
as you would change your naughty child. So it's like treating your mind like a child, with love and compassion and patience, and only then you will be able to transform it. And that is why it is said that mind can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. Most of us, because we have not controlled the mind is like an enemy. But once we know how to control it, it becomes our friend. So you have to be friends with yourself first and foremost, and then function in the outer world.
Yes.
It's where, Devika, this is where, when we need to be compassionate, kind with ourselves, this is where SQ, the spiritual quotient, or PI, the positive intelligence or positive psychology, comes into play.
Okay.
Earlier, the question was IQ, intelligent quotients, or EQ,
EQ.
emotional quotient.
Yes.
But now, more and more people and research is pointing towards being spiritually grounded.
Okay.
And we evolved to understand and incorporate positive psychology in ourselves. And only this spiritual tenets, with understanding them, that we can change our negative thought patterns, our harmful habits, and our wrong belief systems.
Okay. And sir, why is it difficult to change our bad habits?
Well, there are a few reasons for this. First and foremost, man by nature, we resist change. And this in itself is a habit which we inculcate to ourselves,
Right.
that we resist any kind of change. Another factor is that most of the times we actually blame either somebody or something outside of ourselves for our suffering. So that means we are looking for solutions always outside.
Outside, yes.
And we are not looking for solutions within ourselves. And that is why a famous 13th century poet, you must have heard of him, called Rumi. He was a Sufi mystic also. And he said, "Yesterday I was clever, so I decided to change the world. But today I am wise, so I decide to change myself." So that is why it's very important to change your own self.
Okay.
And lastly, but not the least, a mind has multiple layers. For example, when we are talking with each other,
Yes.
listening to each other. This is being done at a conscious level.
Mm-hmm.
And the conscious level is just the tip of the iceberg as far as the entire gamut of the mind is concerned. The majority of the mind is the subconscious mind.
Mm.
And the subconscious patterns are not easily accessible at the conscious level.
Right.
So all our habits, urges, all our tendencies, they are deeply embedded in the subconscious mind and they operate from here. Gaining access to the subconscious mind requires certain skills and techniques.
Okay.
And it is only by working at the subconscious mind that we can take out bad habits.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. For example,
Yes.
people who are addicted to smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on every cigarette pack, it's written
Smoking.
that smoking is injurious to health. And nowadays, there are even photographs, depicting
Yes.
the harmful effects of cigarette smoking, what it can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at a conscious level, people are aware that it is bad. Still, they cannot, control themselves. Why? Because the urge comes from the subconscious mind. So, we need to gain access at the subconscious level before we can uproot those deep-seated, habitual, wrong patterns.
Okay. And what are the techniques we can learn, to master our mind?
Well, first and foremost, any new habit which we are inculcating,
Yes.
we should be very cautious.
Okay.
Because anything which we repeat over a period of time will slowly percolate into the subconscious mind.
Okay.
So, reading good books,
Very
reading
important.
good scriptures, keeping good company, and repetition of new positive thoughts, images, that is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the old, habits or patterns are concerned, for them there are various methods like hypnosis, deep relaxation exercises, meditation. In one of our earlier talks, we had mentioned that the brain has particular patterns and waves.
Yes.
We have the beta waves, we have the alpha waves, the theta and the delta waves. So it is at the theta level that we can put some suggestions or auto suggestions a person can imbibe at that level, which can transform that person. And I'll let you into a secret. Twice in 24 hours, the conscious mind gains access to the subconscious mind
Okay.
naturally. So if we are aware at that particular time, so we can really influence our subconscious mind. Number one, or the first is as soon as you wake up in the morning.
Okay.
That is the time when the conscious and the subconscious, there is a doorway between them. And number two, before you are about to fall asleep, same things happen again. So if we take, put these two times to good use, we can influence ourselves. Otherwise, we can take the help of a counselor, we can have counseling sessions, hypnosis sessions, meditation, because it is at the theta level that the subconscious mind is impressionable. So at that particular point, we can influence the subconscious mind to change the bad habits at that particular time.
And we can change our bad habits.
Absolutely.
So smoking, if somebody wants to quit smoking, by doing meditation or hypnosis or counseling, they can get rid of smoking.
Not only smoking, all bad
All
habits
bad
and
habits.
addictions can be taken care of if we access the subconscious mind and transform it and manage it by implanting or putting different patterns.
Okay.
Replacing the negative patterns with positive patterns.
Very true. Sir, give a message to today's youth.
Well,
How to manage their mind, or master their mind.
well, the message is that, a bad attitude or a harmful attitude is like a flat tire.
Okay.
You can't go anywhere unless you change it.
Yes.
And also, the distance between heaven and hell, these are both actually states of the mind, is not a matter of altitude, but it's a matter of attitude. And Devika, people who are happy, they generally need not have the best of everything in life, but they have the ability to make the best out of everything they have.
Amazing. That's a beautiful end to it. And thank you, sir. Thank you.